Hey, welcome to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Derek Wetmore, and this is Andrew Kramer. We're out here at Winter Park, middle of practice day Thursday, as the Vikings get ready to face the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field this Sunday. This video, we're going to talk about Kyle Rudolph, his potential return to the Vikings, Adrian Peterson, kind of where that situation is at, and then give one matchup to watch on Sunday. If you enjoy anything from the video, we talked about all of that stuff at length in yesterday's Purple Podcast. You can find that on the Sports Wire. Just go to our Vikings page. Google Purple Podcast. I'm sure it's there now. I don't know. We sat down with ESPN's Ben Goessling to talk about those things, among other preview items for the Chicago Bears and Vikings game. Andrew, first things first, Kyle Rudolph potentially coming back now. I know they had targeted sort of the bye after his surgery. What's the latest you're hearing on that and the likelihood he plays Sunday?
Basically, all systems go. They're still planning. The plan was obviously for Week 11 return, and that's how it seems it's going to be. Kyle Rudolph said, if it were up to me, I would have returned against Washington. But fortunately, he said for the training staff, they were cautious because he had the double hernia surgery. Really, only one side of that sports hernia he had needed to be repaired. But since he went under the knife, they decided to do both. And so that kind of set him back even more with having to rehab both sides of it. So, and that's just a finicky thing in general for not only for a football player, but for a tight end who has to reach up and stretch his abdominal muscles quite a bit and with blocking and stuff like that. So it's just not a good injury to have for a football player. But 7 weeks now, and it looks like he's going to return. Tight ends coach Kevin Stefanski told me today that he's healthy. He's been medically cleared, so it looks like he's going to play. Now, offensive coordinator Norv Turner, head coach Mike Zimmer, they're not going to come out and just say that.
Playing it a little more coy.
Exactly, but it looks like that they're going to be all systems go for Kyle Rudolph.
And Turner basically talked at length about Rudolph. Of course, we asked him a bunch of questions about it, but continued to use the phrase like, if he can go, if he can go. But you sort of just get the sense from talking with Rudolph, talking with the coordinators, the head coach, it appears he's going to play. They just don't want to come out and say that.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is when he can actually go out there on the field and test it. I mean, really, how much can you do in practice? Because it's not like they're going full out hitting each other. He's not necessarily diving for a ball, getting hit by a safety. So because of that, you're going to have to wait till Sunday at Soldier Field for him to test it. And if they have to pull him out, limit his snaps, that'll be something that's gauged during the game.
How does he help the Vikings?
Well, quite a bit. I mean, there's a reason they paid him all that money here just before the season started in terms of extending him. But unfortunately for the Vikings, right after they extended him, he had this injury happen. He tried to fight through it in September, but as you could tell, he was hampered by the injury on the field because he wasn't as productive in September as you thought he was going to be. But you're seeing how Chase Ford, other guys like Red Ellison, Marquise Gray have molded into this offense. Chase Ford really is the one who's showing most of what Kyle Rudolph could probably do, being that vertical threat down the field, scoring his first touchdown a couple weeks ago. So seeing that, you know, when Kyle Rudolph can go into that, he's just more talented. He's a bigger athlete. You're hoping for the production you're seeing from a guy like Chase Ford times 10.
Yeah. Adrian Peterson, the latest in that situation is the hearing is expected Monday for the NFLPA and Peterson to meet with the league to basically say, you know, hey, he's out of legal trouble. You got to remove him off this exempt list now. We'll have more news from that, obviously, from that meeting on Monday. I think it's Monday afternoon, 1 o'clock local time.
But that means basically he's not playing at Soldier Field. He's not returning this week. So early speculation was, hey, maybe there's a chance he can come in and play by Soldier Field. But it looks like that home game, November 23rd against Green Bay, might be the earliest if he comes back that early.
And it's still no guarantee that he does return to the field. But with his legal matters resolved and behind him, now it's become a league issue. And basically the NFL, the ball is in their court, so to speak.
Yeah, and the quickest route for him back to the field is if they have that hearing Monday. The NFLPA gets the NFL to decide on their overall punishment, I guess, if they want to give him one. And then if they don't, that's the way that it goes to the Vikings' hands. And then if they wanted to, they can put him on the field next Sunday. But there's still many hoops to jump through.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that a ton on the latest episode of the Purple Podcast. As I mentioned, you can find that on the website. Ben Goessling had some good insight into that stuff. Andrew, I promised one matchup to watch for Sunday. We talked about this on the podcast. We've written about it extensively for the website. What's one of the things you're watching for the Vikings-Bears game?
Obviously, left tackle Matt Kalil. We've talked about him quite a bit this season, but now he's going up against Jared Allen, who's a year older, and well, some will say a year wiser. Jared would definitely say that. But just on the field, this Bears defense has not been able to put it together at all. They've been giving up an average of 42 points per game in these last 3 games. You know, you'll hear Mike Zimmer talk about it. He's not going to kick them while they're down, but they struggle and they give up points. And so if Matt Kalil struggles against Jared Allen, who he's practiced against many times ever since he came into the league 3 years ago, It should be a huge red flag for this offense, but they need him to put it all together. And he talked to us yesterday basically saying that, hey, these ups and downs have been a learning experience for me, because he still couldn't trust that knee from, even though it was a minor procedure he had on the knee, it was the first time he ever gone under the knife in his football career. So he said that was really just a mental block getting over it. So we're going to have to see how he jumps back, because he struggled a little bit against Washington. So it's just been up and down all year. Another test with Jared Allen.
Definitely be interesting to see. You mentioned a year wiser. I might counter with Jared Allen's also a year slower, and it shows on the field. He was dealing with illness and stuff, and he said he won't use that as an excuse.
The pneumonia. Yeah, he suffered pneumonia earlier in the year.
The production just has not been there.
No, and he really is 20 pounds lighter right now than he was even last year. He's playing around 253. He was at 270 last year, and obviously when he's putting up 22.5 sacks in 2011. So he's a lot lighter. He's just dealing with all that, and the defense around him isn't that great.
Yeah, should be an interesting matchup to watch. Andrew and I both picked the Vikings on the Purple Podcast. Spoiler alert.
Homer and Homer over here. I don't know.
But check out that podcast previewing the game. Matt Forte, that left tackle, right end matchup. Teddy Bridgewater, the cold, the elements, all of that kind of stuff we talk about on the podcast in long form.
Yep.
That'll do it for this Vikings video. Thanks for checking back to 1500ESPN.com for all your Vikings news, analysis, and opinion. We'll be back with you, obviously, on Sunday for another video from Chicago Soldier Field. For Andrew Kramer, I'm Derek Wetmore. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.